Okay, hey everyone, welcome back to designing your business model for social impact. Today we're actually going to be talking about the business model because there's so many types of business models that you can decide to use in order to build a profitable, sustainable, and compliant social impact business, right? It's profitable, sustainable, compliant, like that's where it goes. Yes, profitable, sustainable, compliant. All right. And then there are lots of different things that go in between there, but that's the big three. So my name is Tracy V. Allen. I'm the owner of TVA Consulting Group, and I help social impact businesses to design, build, and fund their social ventures.
Hi, and my name is Ty Boone. I am owner of Ty Boone Enterprises. I help mostly nonprofit organizations move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. Tracy, it gets funny when you start talking about business models, girl, because folks just be doing stuff. You're like, what's your business model? Folks just be doing stuff, right? I'm just trying to make some money. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Um, I like I said, I work mostly with nonprofit organizations, and that's a model all into itself.
Mhm.
Um, but there's various ways that you draw in revenue that adds to the structure of the model, right? Tracy mentioned C in that in your I can't what your acronym were you
Mhm.
compliance, and
Mhm.
I think for most, especially in the nonprofit, and even in the social, if you're doing a social enterprise, that compliance is the biggest concern because a lot of people aren't sure where the lines cross. Like, you know, am I able to sell this and have that kind of business? Am I able to work over here and do this kind of business? And where there's not always a black and white answer to it. Compliance is black and white. You're either in compliance
You're not.
or you're not. And if you're not, you can get into some trouble.
Right. There's no gray areas in compliance.
There's no gray area for profit. Then there's also, there's various ways you can profit,
Mhm.
but not all of those are compliant methods. And I
Right.
think that's where we kind of miss the mark a lot. Depending on what kind of, if you're a nonprofit or if you're a social enterprise or if you're some mixed model of something that you're trying to put out here. I have people. This morning. I was looking on Facebook and I ran across a nonprofit that's local here. They have a thrift store, for
Mhm.
example, and my daughter and I love this thrift store. I ended up clicking on the link because I never even visited their website or anything before. I just thought they have like the bomb thrift store. They have two locations here, Tracy, and I'm like, they got all the good stuff. But when I clicked on it, it's the organization is to help women who are transitioning out of substance abuse programs or whatever. That's what they're
Mhm.
about. They provide housing. They have an entire program, and it's on their website, right? An entire program of how the services are provided, how you graduate, how you come into the program, how you get out of the program, how their funds are generated. Right there spelled out on their website, right?
Mhm.
Their entire model, how they're getting this and how this thrift store comes into play, right there on the website makes complete sense, right? But we have a lot of people who jump out and say, well, I have a nonprofit, I want to have a thrift store, which generally speaking, it's okay. But is your organization set up to have a thrift store? Like, is this how you structured your business to have a thrift store? Is this something that should be doing? Depending on how you designed your organization, are you even in compliance with the operations of your nonprofit with this thrift store? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. So you want
Mhm.
to make sure that you're doing the right things.
Yeah, I agree. Because I've seen a lot of nonprofits add, like you said, thrift stores to their business models. But a lot of times they have to go back to the board
Hmm.
and they had to make amendments to their business model in order to add the thrift store. But it made sense for them because they needed a source of earned income. That's a business model unto itself. I constantly hear nonprofit people tell me that they don't charge because they're a nonprofit, and nonprofits don't charge. Nonprofits give everything away for free, and that is not true. You know, nonprofits can have earned income. So that in itself is a business model. There's sliding scales that you can put in there that, makes it another type of business model. So there's many different ways for nonprofits to shake up their business model. They can have a hybrid nonprofit where they have a for-profit, someplace like the thrift store, and then they have the nonprofit portion. But of course, it has to make sense, like you said, right? You can't just add a thrift store because, oh, I think I want to add a thrift store. How does it relate to what it is that you're doing, right? So if you're dealing with something that has to do with women and children, then that's a natural flow, right? But if you
store. So these ladies, this particular thrift store I'm talking about, a part of their program is to employ them. So they're
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But not only that, some of the clothing that are donated to the thrift store can go to the people who need it as well, right? So it's a good business model to have. In a social impact business, you have a lot of different business models. You have the give one, get one business model. You have, of course, it's definitely an earned income model because it's a for-profit business, and you're in business to do what? To make money, right? Because if you're not making money, then you have a hobby, not a business.
Can you say that again? Can you say that one?
If you're in business and you're not making money, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Businesses make money.
Nonprofit
Organizations are businesses too, and they have to make money. The first thing you have to do, and I mean, I'm going to talk about social enterprises, but I want to piggyback on nonprofits. The first thing you have to do as a nonprofit organization is incorporate on a state level as a business, a nonprofit business. And then you go to the IRS. So you are a business, right? And you're expected to make money.
That's
if you're filing postcards every year, that's a problem.
Yeah. Like okay, that's gonna be for next month, right? Because I got something else to say. And you said nonprofits kind of get into this thing where they're like, we're not supposed to make money, we're supposed to give everything for free. If you're giving everything for free, then what are you giving? Because somebody is paying for it. I always say ain't nothing free but salvation.
Nothing.
And Jesus paid for that. So somebody still got to pay for something. Somebody somewhere has to pay for something. So that means you have to make money in order to pay the bills. It's just for me, it's an easy thing. But then also going back to compliance, because and you talk about UBIT a lot, right? You talk about that a lot. A lot of nonprofits don't understand though what kind of what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
This relates to my mission. Folk over here don't understand their model. They, a lot of people who are registered and formed as strict nonprofits are really trying to do something different, right? A lot of them are wanting for-profit businesses and probably should have gone a different way. Probably should have done something a different way. Probably should have just did a for-profit business and left it alone. But a lot of them are thinking, oh, I want to get grants, I want to get donations, I want to get whatever. So I'm going to be a nonprofit business, and then this mess up the whole. Then they're all out of compliance because they don't understand what model they're supposed to even be working with.
Yeah. You said it. Yeah. And I think that's one of the first things that we have to do as business owners, whether we're going into a social impact business, we're going into a nonprofit, or we're just going into regular business, is to figure out what business model we're going to be using. Because it just makes things easier. It's easier to plan out your business, plan out a strategy, if you know what business model you're using, right? And then we can talk about most people not even bothering to do a business plan, because if you did a business plan, you would know the business model. So it's just a lot of different things. But like I was saying, for social entrepreneurs or social enterprises, you can have the buy one, give one model. A lot of big corporations tend to use that model because it's easy. They just upcharge you, the person who's paying full price, and then they still make a profit even though they give away one. So it's an easy model, right? So you're paying maybe say $50 for something that they paid $5 for, and then When you pay your $50, if it costs $5, they really they didn't lose any money because it really only cost them $10.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah,
But
so that's the buy one, give one. And then
you,
you have your employment model. And of course, you have your fee for service model. Like, so you have different models. And even as a social enterprise, you can have your low income client model, which is your sliding scale, your subsidies. So there's so many different models that you can use. I could go on and on about models, but just understanding that you need to know the business model that you are using in your business in order for it to work. You have to know what model you're using. You can't approach people and ask for money and you don't know the model you're using, because some smart Alec is going to ask you, what's your business model? And you don't want to be there like, yeah. So,
and like you said, you do it first. Like, you do this first so you can plan. You already know where your revenue is coming from. If I know that this is going to be a fee for service model, I already know I need to develop some services that I can charge you for. Just that. So many people come to us, Tracy, not knowing, well, how do I get money? First of all, let's see what model best suits your mission. And even if you're nonprofit, for profit, whatever profit you are, there's still a mission. There's still people that you're serving. You still got to know how you serve them. You still got to know what problem you're solving with this service. Even if you're a for-profit business, if I'm selling t-shirts, but the problem that I'm solving is people need t-shirts, I provide them for them, right? So that's, you still have, so knowing that, and then understand what's the best, what model do I fit into this thing? So what do I want to do? How do I want to make my money? How do I want to make this profitable? Am I going to sell something? Do I want to give a lower price if I'm doing a social impact, a social entrepreneur model? Do I want to give a lower price to people who are coming in that can't afford it? Do I want to sell family reunion t-shirts for $1 and all the other t-shirts for $18 because I have this thing about families. I want to build strong families. Like, what is it that I want to do? I already know.
Yeah. Just knowing what you want to do is half the battle. If you know what it is that you want to do, then you can build from there. If you have no clue, then just nothing to build from.
You ain't got no money. You got no clue. You ain't got no money.
Exactly. So that's our 2 cents when it comes to the business model aspect. Like I said, I think didn't we do a whole series on just business models before?
We did, like
I think last year. If I find it, guys, I'll just tag it in here. But we did an extensive series on business models before, so you can go back and look at those videos. There should be a playlist.
We're doing it again because we still got it.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff we have to just keep going over because there's different aspects to a lot of these different topics. So we tend to do them over and add more details and
changes, especially like compliance stuff. Changes. So you want to stay in the know and stay in the loop and understand what model you have so that you can know what compliance change applies to you.
Right. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mission Impact series with Tracy and Ty. And this is the last in the series of designing your business model for social impact. And today we're going to be talking about operating and resource strategies. So if you've been following this series, or if you have not been following the series, we've already talked about who is a change agent. And then we talked about the second video is about social venture strategies and social impact strategies. And then the last one we did was about business models. And now today we're going to be talking about operating and resource strategies. And this will wrap that whole series up, right? So what are operating and resource strategies and where do you find them? Who plays a role in them? What type of software? Those are things that we're going to explore today. If this is your first time catching Mission Impact series, my name is Tracy P. Allen. I'm the owner of TVA Consulting Group, where I help social impact businesses design, build, and fund their social ventures.
All right. I am Ty Boone. I'm owner of Ty Boone Enterprises. I work mostly with nonprofit organizations, helping them to move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. And it takes all kinds of system strategies, all kinds of stuff. We just ain't doing stuff out here, Tracy. We just ain't doing it. We're not Nike over here. No offense to Nike.
Right. Just do it.
You want to start? You want to start?
Oh, yeah, I can start. So, operating resources. So, as a social impact business, you have to know what it is that you need to run your operation. So, you've decided what your business model is. You understand what what a change agent is. We looked at strategies, goals versus strategies, and how to implement those strategies. But like I talked about, I think I talked about in that same video, which is social impact strategies and social venture strategies. I talked about resources, right? And the stages of strategies. That's where the operational resources come in, because in order to get those strategies out, you're going to need to have certain systems in place that allow you and resources to implement the strategies that you create effectively so that you create impact within your community. So with looking at the operating resources and strategies, okay, so what do we need to operate this organization? We need an ED. Do we need a fundraise, somebody to do just primarily fundraising? We need a secretary, because we need somebody at the front desk if you have a brick and mortar, or to answer calls, to do some kind of outreach. Do we need an outreach person? Are we going to be running programs? So do we need a program specialist? Those are the operating strategies. And then for me, the resources come in with who are we going to partner with within the community to help us to create impact within the community, because we can't do it by ourselves, right? We're just one entity in this big city of probably 3 million people, right? We need partners. We need other resources in order to help us to create the impact that we need to create in the community. So we're going to go out and we're going to build partnerships, build relationships with other organizations, and they can become our resource partners so that we can refer our clients to them, so we can have what we call holistic or I'm looking for the word anyway, but having and I said it last time we did this, but we can have around services that are encompassing the entire person, so that they're not left to fall back into whatever habit it was that they're trying to get out of. So we need to build those resource partners, and those resource partners become our allies in helping us to get the word out, to build awareness of our existence within the community as well.
Mm-hmm. This, for me, it all goes back to logic model inputs, right? What do we need to make this thing work? Who do we need to make this work? What kind of money do we need to make this work? What systems do we need? What people do we need to make this work? To make this a functional business organization? Who needs to be here? What kind of resources are we looking for? Do we need transportation? Do we need an ED? Do we need all this stuff? How are we going to make it work? So, and going back to a couple of series ago, where we talked about implementation, right? We can't implement without proper tools.
Right.
So we know that we have to do something. What are the tools that are going to expedite this process? Who do we need? Are there people? Are there places? Are there other communities? Are there other organizations? Or are there different, folks who we want to become partners and allies with to help us to progress along our mission? Because that's what it's all about. What is the mission, and what are the little pieces? Not just, when I think about systems, usually I think about, having some type of protocols in place, and, operational procedures in place, and systems in place, and even things
SOPs, all of that.
All of that being in place, with bylaws in place, even all the way over to QuickBooks and Salesforce, all the way over there. What are those little pieces that go into this puzzle to make that pretty picture that we want to create at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when is the right time to bring in certain resources in
Yeah.
operation, because everything is not needed all at once. I had a question the other day where people love to be CEOs even when they're like the only person. I'm not going to talk about that either. Even when they're I've convinced myself not to have a problem with that, but sometimes I do, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, if you're the only person who works here, like there's absolutely nobody else here in your
Mm-hmm.
organization, can you be executive director and not be CEO? And they're like, well, I like CEO. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna fuss with you. Just be all that you can be. Be whatever you want. But if your organization is at a stage where it's growing and you're needing to get in multiple program directors or executive directors or COOs and CFOs and managers and outreach workers and all these people, when do we bring those in? When is the time? If this is day one and we haven't and we're not serving anybody, then maybe it's not the time. Maybe it's not a fiscally responsible decision to bring in somebody that you're having to pay a $70,000 salary for when you ain't serving but one person, because where you go get the money from to cover this. So strategic planning, also what we talk about a lot, people are kind of missing out on doing that. That'll kind of prompt you into different spaces of when you even need to bring in certain pieces of the operation or certain parts of the systems that you use to make this thing work.
Yeah. It's about what we always talk about, right? Building community partners, building relationships, looking at your systems and processes, making sure that they work, having a strategy in place. So, whether it's from your business plan to your strategic plan to your logic model, your program evaluations, how you're going to even collect data, how you're going to record the data, how you're going to maintain the data, how you're going to use the data, like all of it. And we're going to talk about data in, I guess, next month or the month after or something like that. Anyways, again, we're talking about data again because
Again,
it's ever present, right? It's ever present. So yeah, just looking at the overall aspect of your organization is going to be imperative for the success of it. So that's it. I think for me, do you have any last words?
that's all I got, y'all.
All right. Okay. Until next time, everyone. Bye bye. Thank you for joining us.